Hello everyone, this is Genesis again. Welcome to another tutorial, and today we're going to be talking about dreads. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do dreads. This particular dress you can see right here is, I think we call it crochet dreads. Yeah, so I have some reference, my reference board. You can see kind of dreads we're doing. This works for any kind of dreads. Actually, you just have to work maybe with the freeze amount. It's just the same thing. So I'm going to teach you how to create this kind of strand, and let's get started. So let me just go get to an overview of what we're going to be doing. So you can see we have the strand, we have this part of the hair, like you can see here, where the main hair is connected to the crochet dress, because this is not their real hair turned into dress. They added a weave or a wig or whatever, and they tied it on their head. So that's what we have. That's kind of effect I was trying to get here. As you can see that, and you can see the small shrubs of hair, like not totally clean because they look weird. There's always going to be some small shrubs around, so just to give it that realistic look. And yeah, we got the dreads and everything. So that's it. This Gina, ignore her eyes, she's not smoking weed or anything. So anyways, let's get started. Let me put this aside. Okay, let me put this aside. So this is our scene here. We can see Gina without dreads, and go to perspective. One sec. Rendering environment, and we just want to turn the environment back to black. And this is our scene here. It's not that complicated. This is just a fill light. This HDRI is serving as a key light, and we have two backlights here. We have one headlight here just to get rim it for me. As you can see over here, we can see this rim over here. So that's the light setup. You can see this is serving as a key light also, but the fill light the HDRI is serving as a fill light. Sorry about that. And that's this light. This light is just to illuminate the air. I just made it just illuminate the air. So I'm just going to hide all this so they don't distract us. And one sec, 2 minutes already. So I'm just going to turn this off and turn this off. Turn this off. It's still there, so not a problem. So we can see what I have here is a total of 158 strands. As you can see, 158, and these are just lines. They're just lines. So that's just it. So what I did was I created one strand, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be creating one strand, and I duplicated them around the surface. So you can see, if I should turn this off, if I should just go back here, you can see it's just a strand. It's just a line that I use in creating this crochet, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys. I'm not going to be going all over like creating this, because it took me like an hour and I have to place all this. Yeah, it's kind of tedious. You just have to do the hard work. It's really hard to control if you're using just Ornatrix hair, because you have to brush it, and you can't just get this kind of precise style of hair, and it's really going to be difficult. So as you can see, I place them all around. So you really want to like make one strand. At least that's how I know how to do it. If anybody knows how to do that any other way, but that's like, you create one strand, you create the dreads, then you start placing them around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to create one strand, how to texture it, and I'll maybe place like 3, then I'll speed up the video so you can see the whole process of how I created everything down to rendering. So let's get started. So I'm going to just turn off one sec. I'm going to go to group on this. Cool. Just going to go to group. I'm going to go to there, and let's turn it up. So we have Gina's bald. As you can see, these are the shrubs I created. If you watch my afro, how to create an afro, you should pretty much know how to do this, because it's really easy. If you don't know that, I think the link to this the afro tutorial should be down in the description below, or it's going to be around the top of the video somewhere, I guess. So anyways, just look for that, and you create shrubs. What I just did was, for those who have watched the tutorial, was that I just made from guides, I just made very few counts, like 5,000 hairs and strands, and I just made it like coil and add some freeze effect. No big deal, and that's what I did to get that to get these shrubs here. This is a 1K render, so you can't really see that much detail, but just to get these shrubs, that's what I did. So let's start this tutorial real quick. I'm going to hide this, a new scalp. What I like to do is I like duplicating my scalp, so I'll just clone this, put a copy, yeah, it's okay. Then I'll hide that, and now let's start creating this. So what you do is you don't want to create your strands from the perspective view, because it might just act weird, I guess. So you want to go to front view, and you want to start from here. Hold on, let me bring up my reference. Like for the style I'm using, so I just want to start from here, and I'll just make sure you create enough points, because it helps when you're styling your hair. So make sure you have enough points, there's more segments for you to like manipulate the hair and bend the strands anyhow you wish. So I'm just going to go to modify and go to vertex mode, and I'll select all this and right click and choose smooth. Smooth is much easier to control, so I'm going to go to move, and I'm going to try and just perspective now. I'm going to try and like style this hair best way I can. So I'll just move this, select this, let me just move this here. Okay. One thing you should note is when creating this part here, you see the hair actually curves here. It's not flat, like flat resting on top of the head. It actually curves around. So that's how you get that twist there, because if it's just flat, the twist will just bend up. I'm going to show you that quick in a sec, so it shouldn't take much time. Okay, we got our hair strands, and what we should do now is we should go to effect, center, and go to quick align and align this to this. Yeah, and make sure you click on align to world so that the Z can be up. If you don't do that, the orientation might be messed up. So good. Next thing you want to do is go to edit, you go to transform toolbox, and you go to reset, just to reset the transformation setting you've done. Now the next thing you're going to do is go to modify panel and go to OX guides from shape. So you see what it did, it made the points 10. So use 10 points. This doesn't really matter because we're not going to use this segment here. So the next thing we're going to do is go to ground, OX ground strands. It should be here. Then we'll click on this and we select our cap. Yeah, so short hair 3. Yeah. So now we can now turn this to hair strands. Now we'll go to OX hair from guides. There's OX hair from guides, and we choose this. So now we have a big strand, and we don't want that. We want them very small, like realistic. So we'll go to OX settings. Render settings. And global radius should be 0.1, yes, and we should bring this down. Cancel this by right clicking, and just right click, it should cancel it. Then you bring this down, take this up a bit, because I believe hair strands are equal in between, not the root are bigger than the tip. I don't think so. So anyways, to make it as thin as possible, we have that. And next thing you have to do is go to vray Ornatrix modifier. This is just going to enable you add vray texture to it, which is really important. And since we're rendering vray anyways, so the next thing we're going to do is add detail, so that we can add more points to this. So OX strand details, and we'll put this OX strand details below OX airform guides, so that way the detail from the guides can just follow up way up. The way we're working procedural, and that's the best way to work. So anyhow we can do, we can just, it doesn't matter, we can just go back to the spline and just go and maybe edit it any way we want. So we can even add another spline to this, doesn't matter. So why is it loading? Okay, we'll go to OX airform guides. Then next thing we're going to do is add OX strand multiplier. This is the main thing. This is what gives the air looking good. This setting you see here is because of my previous setting is just keeping everything which is count 0. Usually what you see is 3 year, okay, amount is yes, and what you see here is probably 0 and maybe 3 year, and yeah, year 2 will be 3, year will be 0 usually, and twist will be 0. So this is what you're going to see, but we're going to adjust that. I'm just trying to make this factory setting so that you guys don't get confused. So next thing we're going to do is we're not going to go to the count just yet. We're going to work on the spread, the fluff, and the twist. So right here it's saying the root is going to be 0. That means the root is going to be thin and the tip is going to be 3 centimeters wide, like it's going to spread it horizontally. That's what the spread does actually. The fluff is going to spread it spread it vertically and the fluff spread horizontally. That's what I've noticed actually. So as you can see, if I should take the root, you see it's going vertically up, and if I should take the fluff, it's going horizontally, if I remember my maths right. So actually you just want to make this equal as possible. So what I do, I just make this 0.5 and 0.5, and I made this 1 and I make this 1, so it's equal. So we have 3 strands. So what this multiplier does is like it multiplies 1 strand, and that's what we want. We want 1 strand that we created with this spline to be multiplied 1 billion times, so like 300 times, then so we can make our thread. So anyway, so what we're going to do next now is increase the count. So the count is 3 right now, so we want to make this like what I did was I made it 300, because that was, so you can see that 1 strand as like 300, multiplied that 1 strand to 300, so we have 300 strands here. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to twist. What twist does is let me just increase the bar. You can see it's twisting this strands, and which is amazing. Like I said, Ornatrix is really powerful. So anyways, we increase this to 80. That's what I did in mine. I don't even think it matters, just increase it to as much as possible. Yeah, I think this works. So the twist is like this. So now the reason why it's like this is because we don't have enough detail. So this is where this comes through. The viewport is showing 200. What I use, because I want as much detail, because it's twisting the strand 80 times, and we want enough detail so that it can go round and round. So let's go to the viewport and we'll just increase this to like 100, for example. So you can see it's giving it much detail there, but it's still looking bolted one way and it's not looking nice at all. So what we're going to do now is the render values, this is the cool thing about the detail, the OX strand detail, is on your viewport you can make it as low as possible. It doesn't matter. This is just for visualizing purpose, and if you add more, it's going to add more on the viewport, and you don't want that. So you want this as low as possible, even 50 if possible. But I usually keep this as 100 so I can actually see something, so I know I'm doing something right. Then what I do is that I take the render value to like 800. So that way it's not increasing on the viewport, it's only increasing in the renderer. So that's the renderer is going to now start calculating that, and you don't do anything during that process. So it's just the rendering machine doing its thing. So and make sure you tick used render value. So I just keep this as 100. So the next thing we have to do now is use freeze. And like I said, if you watch my Afro tutorial, is the African hairstyle is messy. It's really messy, and you can get away with doing an African hairstyle without doing some freeze. So what freeze does, it just messes up the hair. So now that we have this, and the scale is at 15, what I did was I drew the scale to 6, and this was like 0.5, I guess. So it should be doing something nice, but it's not doing, it's still not looking nice. Then okay, the percentage, yeah, like I said, I explained a lot of this in my Afro tutorial, so you should go ahead and say this should be 1 and 3, so you should reduce this to 0.18. What this is, the outliner, that's the larger chunk of strands, which let me show you this strand, this kind of strand that poke out. That's what the outliner is. And you want 18, I used 18% of the hair strands to poke out, and the freeze amount, like that's the amount of jagginess, messiness the outliner is going to be, and I made it 1.8 centimeters. So that's pretty much it. Why is it looking like this? And okay, the freeze, it's right here, it should be above the multiplier. And let's go to the multiplier and see. Let's see, what am I missing? Let me go to the detail. Okay, I don't have enough detail. Like I said, the viewport is not, you see now, as we increase the detail now, it's having more resolution to actually spin. You get, so right now it's looking better and better and better. That's why I use the render value of 800. So you want this to be in a very high amount. So 800 was good for me. You use 900 and you reduce this. Let's reduce this to 200, so we can see something that's reasonable. Okay, so we have this effect. So if we increase this to, let's say, 800 or 900 also, we can see it's spinning well. So if we go to the freeze, it's going to look nice. I'm going to render this really soon, and so that you guys can see how it looks. So we can see the freeze amount going. So what we have here is the tip, it's actually has a lot of freeze amount, while the root has less, and that's because of this graph here. So what we do, we're just going to delete this and take this up. So now it's going to affect the whole strand, because the reason why that is because when you're using a freeze, it's because the human hair, naturally the tip is actually more messy than the top part. So that's just it. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to go to the multiplier, and we're almost done, guys, and we're going to go to this. We're going to click on this stuff here. It's going to create this. So what this represents is to represent the whole strand. That means this strand right here. So what we want to do is, we don't want the root right here, the main root right here, to be twisted. We want it to be normal, like just strands, so that we can get this effect right here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add a point here, just bring this up real big, and I'm going to bring this down. No, sorry. I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to bring this down. So I'm going to add one more point. So just take this up and bring this down too. So what I'm telling it is that I don't want freeze on that part. And if you look at my monitor here, you can see now that we don't have any freeze effect at this part, and that's what we want. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to the fluff and the spread. So like I said before, the spread spreads the strand or vertically. So I'm going to take the root up a bit, no, just a little bit. Then we'll open this also, and we're going to just make this bigger, take this up, bring this down. So you can see that effect right there. So what we can do is just make it thinner, so that way we have that knot over there, so it looks as if the strand is tied to our rear hair. So okay, then the next thing we're going to do, go to the fluff and do the same thing. And bring this up. And sorry, the fluff I want to be really big because I want it to spread horizontally well. So that's what we have it, boys and girls. It's looking like that. So that's what we gotta do. So if we want this, like right now you see it's curved, that's why I was talking about it bending well. So you want it to bend like this. So right now it's going like this. So when you guys are placing your strands, it goes ready to go to this, you make sure this goes up like this. That way, if we click on this, we could just, you can see that. So that way it's bent. So that's why I said earlier on, make sure you have enough points on your strands. Sure. So you see how cool it is. Now we have a strand and it's ready to go, guys. It's just good. And you can see you can do a lot of effect with this method. Like you can see here down below, you see it's thinner. You can just go to the multiplier and just play with the spread down here. You can make it thin. You can see it just went thin. You can add more segment. It's just cool stuff you can do. So that's it. Next thing we have to do is texture the strand. So what we are going to do is going to go to the material editor, and like you see I'm using the vray material. So what I did was, let's just create one again. Go to material, go to vray, go to vray material. Double click on this, go to choose custom. I like to use black shiny. I like to use black shiny. So what this does, just add black material to this and make it shiny, add more gloss. That's pretty much it. And to change the color of this material, usually you go to transmission and maybe just make it red, for example. And you see the material is red, but we don't want that. We want brown things like this. So what I did was I took a map, vray map, and I used vray map info info map, and I connected it to the transmission texture. So what this does is that means you can add two texture. You can see now we have color A and color B. So what we do now is we can make the color A black, which then we make the color B maybe brown, maybe more saturation, make it darker brown. Yeah. So now if you can look at this, you can see we have like a gradient. So that's the position along the strand. That means from the root to the tip. So the root is going to be darker and the tip is going to be brown. So but what I did was I made it random by strand index. So you can see it's just going to like just randomize it on every strand actually. So as you can see here, that's what I did. Yeah, it's no different from this. So that's pretty much it. That's the texture. We apply it to this by clicking on this. Now we can render and see how it looks. So go to camera view and we're gonna hit render. So I'm going to pause because sometimes, yeah, I'm going to pause and let this render out real quick so that you guys can see. Okay guys, welcome back. As we can see here, we can see our strands, the dread strands that we've created, and it's looking nice. It's looking really good. We can see the outliner, those I was talking about, that poke out, and it's looking really nice. So if this is just too much for you, you could just go to the freeze and just maybe reduce the percentage of outliner you want, and it's going to maybe reduce the freeze amount, so it's going to be neat. So you can take this all down totally and you won't see any outliners out, those hairs that poke out. So you can reduce this. For the freeze, you need the freeze to get this round looking realistic feel. So that's just it. There's nothing more actually. So if you, what I just did was, you can see that knot tie that I did here, that's based on the fact of the multiplier here. So if this is not good for you, you could just maybe just reduce it. You can see it's loosening up a bit, so you can just shape this to whatever shape you want and maybe just work with this a bit and you can get your desired result. So that's what you guys should do. This is a tutorial. I'm not going to go into detail because sometimes it can take like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes to just get this right. So I just want you guys to get the concept so you guys can work on it. So you see we get this knot feel which we got from this character here. So you can see the knot tie, and then we have our normal strands that are poking out into our head. So that's just it basically. So what next you just have to do is you're done, you've textured this and you're happy with this design or this strand, and you can now maybe just start, hold down shift and just move this and just do this and move this and put this here. You turn around, maybe you put this here, just start adding strands. And if you can see, if you're not happy with this, you can go anywhere anytime, which is the beauty of this technique. You can go anywhere anytime and just start adjusting the way the different separate dreads look. Because if you do everything as a whole, what happens is that you can, any effect you do on it will happen to all the strands, but this way you can just add some randomness to it. You can just select this one and just do this, and you can create any kind of dread hairstyle you want with this effect. If you want something really dready, like it's not really bad, you can just maybe increase the freeze like crazy and just maybe reduce the increase the outliner and mess it up a lot. If you don't watch my Afro tutorial, like I said earlier on, I taught a lot about the African hairstyle. So that's basically it. You could just go here anytime, it's not going to crash or anything. You can just move this strand like this for whatever reason you want to. Maybe that's you're doing the freaky hairstyle or freaky dread hairstyle, and you can see your dreads is just going to form that shape that you've created. Doesn't really matter. So it's really a nice technique. You can go and do anything you want to do. It's just that. So the next thing I did was I created you see, like I said, the shrubs here. You can, there are some tiny shrubs around. That's what I did, and I'm not going to do that yet because it's the same technique I did with the afro. Just go to select this scalp and just go to edit ox strands, ox guides from surface, and you see that it's going to create that. And I just reduced the length to like, I reduced it to like 0 point something, I guess like 0.5. yeah, it was really small, and 0.05 actually. Yeah, you can see that just tiny shrubs. Maybe increase it just a bit. Yeah, and I'm going to edit into OX guides from OX airform guides, which is this airform guides. And yeah, I just went to settings again, the same technique I did with the afro, and I reduced the strands, and I did coiling, and I added freeze, and that was pretty much it to get that effect. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you how I did everything from this point on, from these 3 strands, and I finished this hair. So I'll see you guys really soon, so stick around and see how I finished the hair in the video. So thank you guys very much, and I'm going to be talking while this is going on, or maybe not. So hit up the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit up the notification so that you can get more tutorials. If you think if you have any tutorial suggestion for my video, or maybe you want me to do something that you don't know about, because I like doing stuff that are not on the internet yet, because not a lot of people have done dreads out there. There are very few, especially for Ornatrix, and which I think is an amazing plugin for 3ds Max. You can practically do anything. So if there's any hair tutorial you want to do, any kind of style you want to do, even if it's Caucasian, not just black hair, not just African hairstyle, just any kind of tutorial you want me to do, I do ZBrush, I do Substance Painter, I do 3D Coat, and I will try my best to release maybe 2 tutorials 2 times a week. So I'll try my best 3 times to 2 times a week with my busy schedule. So I'm going to be doing marvelous design in the future and all that good stuff. I'm going to teach how to texture a full body character. So ZBrush to Substance Painter, 3D Max. I used 3ds Max as my go-to tool for rendering, modeling, art surface modeling, and I use ZBrush for my sculpting. So if you guys want to, maybe there's something you can find on the internet and you want to, like, okay man, you can just ask me if I can do it, or I can figure it out myself. I will just do a tutorial for it. So thank you guys, and peace. You enjoy the speed video, and hit your like, subscribe, hit the notification so you can get notified when I release a new tutorial. So peace. I'll see you guys on the next one.